So I'm going to begin by asking, have you ever eaten a potato peel pie? Because they look horrible.
No, I haven't. And I think it was because I should have. Of course I should have. But I didn't. And it was because when Tom Courtenay brings it in and he presents it and he says, she takes a taste of it, and it's awful. And he simply says, "It's horrible, isn't it?" And I completely believed him, and I wanted nothing to do with the damn thing from then on.
And having sort of watched this movie, I've got sort of interest. I was looking into different kind of quite obscure clubs and societies around England, and you find there's ranging from the kind of Scare Electrics club to Ukulele Wednesdays. There's a didgeridoo club in London as well. And I was wondering,
there's actually a club called Ukulele Wednesday.
Yes,
which I'm assuming, what a name!
I know, which I'm assuming takes place on Wednesdays, and they play the ukulele.
And they play the ukulele, yeah.
Harping a guest there. I just wondering, what's your sort of passion? What sort of society or club would you join if you had the choice?
Well, I might join something like this, actually, because it was my family. There were two branches of my family that lived right next door to one another in adjoining houses, and they were teachers on the one hand, and they were people who were absolutely crackers about the amateur theatre on the other. So it was a practical sort of an upbringing, because they were always doing a production of this or a production of that. But at the same time, the house was full of books, and so I read all the time, and I was reading dialogue with which some people have great difficulty. People doesn't. I never had difficulty with reading from a page and imagining it into a concrete activity. I always very much enjoyed that. A tiny kid.
And I was reading that in the States and in a few sort of territories that this film's been acquired by Netflix. I was wondering, as a filmmaker who just released this movie, what is that? It feels like a double-edged sword, because in some ways more people are probably going to see the film. It's much more accessible.
Yes.
But at the same time, is it quite a shame knowing they're devoid us in some ways of that kind of big screen experience? What does it mean to filmmakers?
I don't know about that. I started in television. And I was very snotty about it to start with. I came straight out of university at 21 and said, of course, I don't intend to stay here. I'm going to get whatever you have to offer and the experience, so that I should go to the theatre. This is my true home, the theatre. And then they said, would you like to see a camera? And I said, yeah, all right. And they showed me a camera, and I began to realise immediately what it could do, and I never wanted to go back. And so I'm prejudiced towards something like Netflix. Plus, we had our Netflix exposure meeting 2 weeks ago, where they on a big conference call, they explain what they do and how they do it. And what they do is pretty much what Cambridge Analytica did. They take the information that you give them by the choices you make, and they then massage it and turn it upside down and stretch it and squeeze it and tie it in a pink bow, and they will then know what a particular kind of audience for a particular kind of film is, and they will start to shift their output towards these choices. And this is marketing, I suppose, but that is marketing at a kind of extraordinary level. I was completely fascinated by it. So listen, wherever they'll take the stuff, I'm not proud.
And I was reading that before Lily James got involved in this project, and you couldn't picture anyone else in this, that I think Kate Winslet, Rosamund Pike were attached to the role. But that
was before me, but yes, I think she was.
Because I think they're a decade older than Lily. What do you think it changes about the role to have an actress who is about 10 years younger than the actresses that were potentially going to play her beforehand? Do you think that changes anything about
the character? Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Because this character, whose life has been, she looks like she's a winner, She's got a hit book. She's got money. She's got a friendly publisher. She's got an American boyfriend who's a major. And she has absolutely everything. And at the same time, her life has been wrecked by the war. Like everybody's lives in this country were wrecked by the war. My mother, my father, everybody, you know, and we didn't have any deaths in our family. They just went away and then they came back. But nonetheless, their lives had been sapped of something crucial. And that's what's happening to this girl. And if you would give me just a tiny glimpse of the question again, I would probably be able to finish.
Oh no, it's just whether being 10 years younger than the other actresses who are going to play her changes much about the role.
Yeah. So what that does is that makes this girl, who appears to be going to kind of succeed, get away scot-free, this makes her very vulnerable because she doesn't have the life experience that it takes to defend herself. She's more vulnerable to what happens to her, and that, of course, and it's something that is also a characteristic of hers, of the character, that she is inquiring and open, and she's a smooth wax surface waiting for an impress, and that was very, very important to see her get experience, to grow alongside these people and realize what exactly it was when her instinct said, go and find these people. And it was pure instinct, but then she went and found them and she began to build this wall of understanding. And in one way, you know, a good story is always several stories put together. One of the very important parts of this story is the building of that understanding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!